Perfect.
Welcome back to the channel, guys. This is Birch, and today we're going to be talking about the fabled Rebel 1100. There's been a lot of talks about this bike over the past few years, about it possibly coming out as the new, bigger, and better Rebel. And lately there's been a lot more talk about it. I've seen some videos pop up, had some subscribers ask me about it. So today we're going to hop on the Rebel 500, and I'm going to give you my opinion on the alleged Rebel 1100 that's coming out. Let's do it. Alright guys, so obviously I want to start out by saying that I called it the alleged Rebel 1100 because as far as I know, there is still no confirmation that this bike is even going to come out. It's all kind of just hearsay, you know. I'll be on the forums or on the Facebook groups and you'll have one person saying,
"Oh no, I work for Honda and I've asked the higher ups and they've confirmed that this is not coming, there's no such thing."
And then you have other people that are saying,
"Oh no, I know some kind of special person and they told me that it's definitely coming out next year."
So, you know, take everything kind of with a grain of salt. We're just talking about the bike if it happens. And I also want to preface this by saying that I don't really know what I'm talking about. I don't claim to be a motorcycle expert. I don't claim to have an inside scoop. I'm just a guy who used to own a Rebel 300, now owns a Rebel 500, so I kind of want to weigh in on my opinions on the Rebel 1100. Alright, so let's start off with a little bit of the backstory of the Rebel 1100. This bike has been rumored since probably as far back as when these new Rebel 300 and 500s came out, all the way back in 2017. It's now 2020, so the rumors have been going on for about 3 years, and we haven't gotten any official confirmation. Allegedly, what Honda wants to do is they're going to make a new, bigger Rebel and put the 1100 motor from the Africa Twin bike into the new Rebel. There are lots of people who are very excited for this, and you know, they keep saying that this is going to be Honda's fight against the Harleys and against the bigger cruiser bikes, but I honestly just don't see it that way. And I'm sure some of you are assuming that the title is clickbait, but I'm being honest when I say I'm actually not that excited for the idea of a Rebel 1100, and I personally wouldn't be going out to buy one. So here's my 2 cents on the situation. The Rebel has always been the flagship, you know, beginner bike. It's been around forever, and I'm sure you've heard your uncles and your dad talking about how they learned how to ride on the first Rebel 250. At the end of the day, the Rebel has always been a nice, easy to ride, light, maneuverable, flickable bike, and that's why I got it. I'm not a beginner rider, but I have more fun on my little Rebel 500 than I do on my big VFR 750. They're just so user-friendly, so easy to use. You can throw them around, they're so flickable, and they're nice little kind of bar hopper city cruiser bikes. Now, if you go and take the 1100cc motor out of the Africa Twin and try to stuff it in this frame, it's just not going to work. From a size perspective, from a geometry perspective, from just everything, it's not going to work. So obviously they're going to be redoing the frame and all that kind of thing, but at that point it kind of just takes away from what makes the Rebel so fun. You know, it's not going to be small and flickable anymore. Instead of being as light as it is, around 400 pounds, it's probably going to weigh in between 550 to 600 pounds if I had to guess. And yes, it would be a totally different monster than the Rebel 300 or the Rebel 500, but personally I just don't see it being something that a Rebel 300 or Rebel 500 owner is going to want to upgrade to. Typically what you see them end up doing is if they're looking for a cruiser, they upgrade to a Victory or something like that, and maybe that's because there isn't a viable Honda option for them to upgrade to. But personally, if my first bike was a Honda Rebel, when it comes time to upgrade, I'm going to want to kind of explore the world and see what else is out there. I don't know that if I start off on a Rebel 300 or a Rebel 500 that I'm going to want to upgrade to a Rebel 1100 and have that for a few years, and then I'm 3 years into my riding career and the only bike that I've ever owned is some sort of a Rebel. And you know, even if you take that argument off the table, table, I think it would be really cool for Honda to come out with a reliable 1100cc cruiser. The issue that I see with it is that I don't think it should have the Rebel name because it won't feel like a Rebel. Based off of the renderings that have kind of gotten leaked as to what the Rebel 1100 might look like, I would love to see something like that come out, maybe as a new, more powerful Honda Shadow or under a new name, but with something that big and different from the Rebel 300 and 500, I don't see it fitting with the Rebel name. If you get a Honda Civic as your first car, it's a small little car that's reliable, easy to drive, and if you want to upgrade to a bigger and better Honda, then you upgrade to the Accord. The Accord has some more luxury options, it's a bigger car, has a bigger motor. You're still sticking with the Honda name, but you're switching to a different model. And personally, that's how I view the new Rebel 1100. Puppy dogs! So guys, now in my opinion, here's what I think the perfect middle ground would be. I think that they should upgrade the Rebel but throw a 650 motor in it instead of the 1100. They could easily take the motor out of the CBR 650F or the new CBR 650R and tune it slightly different and throw that into an upgraded Rebel. I've ridden my buddy's CBR 650F and it has obviously a decent amount more power than the Rebel 500 does, so it would be a nice solid upgrade, but the motor is not going to be as big and heavy as the 1100 motor is, so the bike overall wouldn't have to be that much bigger, and I feel like it could end up being a bike that's much more similar to what a true Rebel is. Not only that, but one of the biggest comparisons that people make when they're talking about getting a first bike is the Rebel 500 to the Vulcan 650S. You go ahead and throw a 650 motor in the Rebel and compare that to the Vulcan 650S, and as far as I'm concerned, there's no contest. It's the Rebel 650 all day. And honestly, not to get kind of too off course, but I even hear lots of people saying, you know, what's the point of even having a Rebel 300 if it's so close to the Rebel 500? So, in my opinion, if Honda were to go any route, it would be to get rid of the Rebel 300 and just have the Rebel 500 with the 650 as the upgrade. And then if they want to make an 1100 motor cruiser bike, then go for it. But like I said, I would throw that under the Shadow name or come up with a totally different name for it aside from Rebel. Now, really getting off topic, well, not off topic, but straying the course, in a perfect world, I think that they should bring back the V4 out of the VFR 750 like I have. Throw that bad boy in a Rebel frame and that thing would be nuts. I mean, for real. Sign me up. So there you have it. There is my unsolicited and partially uninformed opinion on the alleged Rebel 1100. Let me know in the comments what you think about what I had to say. I'm sure I'm forgetting to say something that I had to say because I don't have a script. I'm just riding around kind of shooting the shit in my helmet. But let me know what you thought, and if this is something that you're looking forward to or that you would upgrade to. Let me know on what you think about whether it should have the Rebel name, because that's really my main argument. If you disagree, don't give me a dislike. Don't be that guy. Still smash that like button, and make sure to go ahead and subscribe as well while you're at it if you aren't already. I have a lot of Rebel 300 content on my channel. I just bought this Rebel 500 a few days ago, so I'm going to be pumping out content about that. And yeah, this is your one-stop Rebel shop. Thanks so much for watching and listening to Joe Schmo talk about his opinions on a bike that may not even ever exist. And we'll catch you next time. Peace!